So, a very good morning. Salam sejahtera and salam berbahagia hati. My name is EUGENIA Anajao of TSLB 1 of IPG Kampus Raja MELEWAR Seremban Negeri Sembilan. Right, so for today, I'll be sharing with you two topics. One of them will be the role of teachers in the realization of the national philosophy of education, the philosophy of teacher education, and the special education philosophy. And the second topic that we'll be touching upon today will be the implications of these three philosophies. Now, before we get into the topics that I'm about to touch upon later on, to pretty much summarize the gist of these three philosophies, right now, how I see these three philosophies as they pretty much share roughly the same aim or the same goals, which is to strive towards excellence in the education system, as well as towards the improvement of the education system, right? Whether it be in terms of the teachers, the school system itself, the students, right? So that is how I see all these how these philosophies pretty much explain themselves. And now, with that being said, with that refreshment right there, let us dive into what we're going to touch upon today. Right. So the first topic that I would like to discuss with you is the role of teachers in the realization of these three philosophies. Now, as educators, what must we do? What role do we play to ensure that these three philosophies meet their goal, meet their aim, right? So number one, we must prepare ourselves with general, subject, as well as teaching specialization related knowledge. Now, as educators, it is our responsibility to ensure that we equipped ourselves with general knowledge, whether it be culture-based knowledge, society-based knowledge, any form of general or basic knowledge. Obviously, as human beings, I believe this does not just apply to educators, but any human being out there. And of course, subject-related knowledge. If you are a Tesl student, of course, you're going to be teaching English. If you're a math teacher, you'll be touching upon math teaching, right? And of course, the teaching specialization related knowledge. Now, as teachers, we all know that we have our own etiquettes, our own standards, our own policies, our own philosophies, essentially our own protocols as teachers, right? Now, to summarize or to get the gist of this point is we as teachers need to prepare ourselves with basic knowledge, with subject knowledge, as well as to make sure that we follow the protocol and the etiquettes of being an educator. Right. The next role is to ensure that we practice PDP in hopes that the philosophy develops individuals and maintain a united, democratic, progressive, and disciplined society. Right. In other words, we as teachers also play an important role to make sure that we implement the practice of PDP, or the process of learning and teaching in class, in a way that we can develop these students so that we can essentially shape this human being that can contribute towards society. Now, in other words, how I see this is that as teachers, I don't see us as just educators, right? I see us as role models. We don't just come into class every day and start teaching English, start belting out math, start belting out science. I see us as social shapers, if you may, human shapers, right? We shape students, we shape human beings to be able to be a member of society and contribute towards society, right? Next, we have spread and encourage moral values and teaching etiquettes among students parallel to the need of education and the future. Again, this pretty much is parallel to the point that I essentially pointed out previously, which is as educators, we don't just come in a class and we teach. We just like belt out output, and the students just receive input. No, how I see educators as, like I said before, we are human shapers. We shape society from from students, obviously. So apart from teaching subject-based knowledge, it is also our responsibilities as educators, as role models, to shape these students. We have to teach them about the norm of society, teach them about moral values, about etiquettes, about how to become a loyal citizen. All of these moral, like cultural-based etiquette that you would teach any young child to ensure that they grow up to be a responsible human being, right? Okay, last but not least, we also have using knowledge and skills to educate, as well as teaching values to stimulate students' development. Now, in this point, I would like to stress that obviously, as teachers, we're given special training, special programs to ensure that we have all these skills and knowledge to obviously make sure that we become the best form educator that we can, so that we can teach these younger generations, right? Now, uh, it is our responsibility to make sure that we utilize these skills and knowledge given to us while we were, in training, to ensure that we can shape these younger generations well, to pretty much stimulate their development, right? So, in other words, as future teachers, we need to make sure that we utilize these knowledge, these skills that we have gained for years of training, to ensure that we utilize them well to the most as maximum way as possible, so that we can utilize them in a good way towards students, so that they can help reach the aims and the goals of these three philosophies, right? Okay. Now, next up, let us look into the implications of these three philosophies. Now, with these three philosophies that exist in the education system, there's bound to be changes to ensure that the system itself can meet the aims and the goals of these three philosophies. Now, one of the major implications that comes with these three philosophies is the schooling system. Now, again, like I mentioned before, these three philosophies pretty much aim towards excellence and the improvement of the education system, right? They want to make sure that, each and every student succeed in their own way and they find success. Now, you see, through the schooling system, multiple types of schools were designed in order to achieve the goals of these philosophies. Now, we have to now bear in mind, each student is special in their own way, right? Each student is smart and intelligent in their own way. That's why multiple types of schools are built to ensure that they find success in their own way at the young age. Like, for example, we have normal schools, right? We have normal, regular, everyday school. But we also have vocational schools, right? That help children or students to practice certain skills if they don't really have much of a knowledgeable IQ gift, if you may. And we also have schools, we have art schools for talented students in that form as well. And we also have many other different types of schools. We have religious schools as well, right? So these schooling systems actually help sort of divert or sort of lead these students in a way where they can find success in their own way. So it's fair, right? Next, the next implication would have to be the school curriculum. Same thing with the schooling system, right? Curriculums in schools are designed in a way to achieve these goals as well. Like I said before, these philosophies pretty much aim towards the improvement of the education system. Now, the school curriculum does that, but how? So one of the ways would have to be the existence of different types of clubs and sports introduced in schools, right? If you find a student who's very proficient in football, they can join the football club and they can excel in that form. If you find this particular student to be excellent in music, they can join the music club and find success in that way, in that sense, right? So that's what I'm trying to explain here. Right, the next implication would have to be the school cultures. Now, cultures are created to shape students parallel to these philosophies. In other words, every single school has a different culture, has a different philosophy, motto that they go by to pretty much help guide the students in a way that they would wish to, of course, shape their students. For instance, this isn't a school example, but in my college anyways, we have this motto that we go by, which is living happily with stress. Now, the whole idea of this motto is to continuously live happily and positively despite the existence of stress that's going to be, apparent, obviously, in college life. So, this particular type of mentality teaches us to stay positive constantly and actually can contribute towards our mental health, especially as young adults. So same goes to schools. If each and every school goes by a certain motto, a certain philosophy, a certain ideology that they can essentially put on students or teach on students, it can actually help them shape into a very responsible human being. Last but not least, the implications of these three philosophies would have to be towards teachers. Now, special education and training are given to teachers in order for them to contribute to the realization of these philosophies. Now, if you remember back when I mentioned about teachers having special training and program, right? Now, obviously, because the education system, the school system would wish to strive towards excellence and, improvement, um, it's vital for teachers to ensure that it's vital that teachers get the best form of training and program so that they're able to become these individuals who can contribute towards the realization of these philosophies. We as teachers are going to be given special training, specific training to ensure that we are fit, we are fit and ready, we're in tip-top shape to make sure that we can contribute to our fullest extent, to our fullest possible possible way to contribute to the realization of these philosophies, whether it be teaching the students itself or the contribution towards the school system, the school curriculum, right? So that's the whole idea here. Right. And with that being said, last but not least, I leave you with my HOTS questions. Now, share how you would play your role as a young teacher in the realization of these three philosophies. Now, I want you to imagine yourself as a young teacher, right? You just got posted to a school, you're still fresh, you're still new. Now, how would you play your role as a young teacher in the realization of these three philosophies? How would you play your role? What would you do as a young teacher, as a new teacher, to ensure that the goals and the aims of these three philosophies are met? What would you do? Run a program, maybe, or build a certain new curriculum? What are your ideas? Think about it. Right. Now, with that being said, I leave you with my HOTS questions to think about. And right, with that being said, we're done. That is all I have today. I hope what I shared today will give enlightenment to you towards the topics that I shared. That is all I have today. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you very much.